Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into another edition of Primetime Sports Talk, where we give you our opinions about the facts. I'm Nitin there, and it might be a little odd to see that I'm here by myself, but I'm rolling solo, and I'll be talking to you guys about men's and women's basketball games. And unfortunately, both teams have fallen to South Alabama. Today we'll talk about the women's first. They lost to South Alabama 83-45. Yes, you heard that right, 83-45 in South Alabama's favor. Now, I'll give you some of the facts to start it off. So, first of all, none of the Georgia State women's scored in double figures. The highest scoring player was Madison Newby, Deacon Shealy's favorite player. She scored 9 points, and she was 2 of 6 from the field. Something else to highlight was the 26 turnovers by the women's team. Now, 26 turnovers in a game for any team is huge, and it's a big negative. And the outcome of that was South Alabama scoring 27 points off of those 26 turnovers. These are bizarre stats that are coming off of this game, and this is after the Georgia State women's had another huge loss against UT Arlington the game prior to this one. So you would expect them to bounce back and try to capitalize on this and not go on a losing streak, but yet again, they have showed us that they're not executing on all cylinders, and Coach Sharon Baldwin-Tenner is having a hard time trying to keep this team motivated and keeping them executed. Let me keep going with these numbers. Astasia Titer, she had 4 points. Haley Guerin, 2. Makiba Ponder, 6 points. Laser Mitchell with 6, and the list goes on. And KK Williams had 8 off the bench, which was good, but nothing a lot to talk about here as far as positives go for the women's team. Another negative for this women's team is the 5 assists. Yes, they had 5 assists total in this game. We have players getting 5 assists in the first quarter in games around the country, but this Georgia State women's team only had 5 assists total as a team, and that shows you that they were not looking to pass the ball. They were not looking to get the easy baskets. They were trying too hard to get the easy baskets, because if you're only getting 5 assists a game, that is something really alarming. And South Alabama had 22 assists. That's the average number you're looking at for a team. And because of that 22 assists, they had 83 points on the board. Just overall, it's been a very up and down season for the women. And I don't see them bouncing back from this victory. I see a losing skid coming from this, because there is nothing positive that's coming from this game. I can imagine Coach Baldwin-Tenner in the locker room after the game, and I can't imagine her, saying anything positive. Because when you're in the locker room, you're looking for positive to say. And in this game, I mean, the only thing I could think of is the rebound numbers. They had 30 rebounds to South Alabama's 37. So they stuck around on the rebounds, but we've all heard that, rebounding the ball will get you second chance opportunities for another play. And obviously that didn't work out for the women, because they only scored 45 points total in this game. Now, the only time the women led in this game was the opening basket. And the total time that they led was for 15 seconds. They led for 15 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. That's like me walking from here to the next door. Out the studio would take me 15 seconds. So I don't understand what's going on with this women's team. And even Deacon Shealy talked about it a couple episodes ago. They didn't have some players, so that could have been one reason why they weren't flowing as well. But they have everybody back. Everybody's getting their reps, enough minutes in practice and in games. But yet again, we've seen that these ladies aren't pulling the right strings, making the right plays, even though Coach Baldwin-Tenner is trying her hardest, and she can't get these players to execute. The only player that really is sticking out is Madison Newby, and she's a freshman. So there's a lot of upside in her, but as the rest of the other members on this team, I don't see anything coming out of it. In the first quarter, they shot 5 of 15 from the field, which isn't much, and the story goes on and on. And as a total for the game, they shot 33%. It's not a huge percentage, and from 3 they shot 18%, and they were 62% at the free throw line. So overall, down the list, it's just negatives. I don't have anything really positive to say about this game. I wish I could. I wish I could bring you guys something great in regards to this women's team. You know, all of us here at Primetime Sports Talk want to see the women do good, and we really wish that, or we really hope, that the ladies can turn it around. Now, you guys are used to seeing a segment called the Game Balls, and I'll be giving one out by myself. And before the show started, I was thinking, who am I going to give it to? I could give it to Madison New because she had 9 points, but she only shot 2 of 6 from the field. Nobody scored double-digit points, so I'm going down the list trying to figure out who am I going to give this ball to. And I was talking to my manager, Joey Redmond, who was behind the ones and zeros, and he told me something, and I'm probably going to give it to who he told me to do, and I'm going to give it to Coach Sharon Baldwin-Tenner because I know she is trying her best to keep this team intact. And we have a lot of games left. So to come off these 2 huge losses by huge numbers, I know she's working hard, trying to keep this team gelled, keep the chemistry up. She's trying to keep a positive vibe in this locker room and in this team. So just because of that, I'm going to give Coach Baldwin-Tenner the game ball. And hopefully I don't have to give it to her again. I want to give it to her again, but I want to give it to the players. So hopefully in the future on this show, we'll give it to more players instead of the coach. So let me write her initials on this ball before we move on. All right. Such a beautiful ball, ain't it? So let's move on to the guys' team. Now, this was a great game. It was such a shame that the guys' game was not on ESPN3 or any channels around here that we could watch on. So we were listening to it on the radio, and we were following it neck and neck. We know this one got down to the wire. South Alabama pulled away 79-78. It went to overtime, and it was a nail-biter to the end. I started listening to this game in the first quarter, and there was a lot of positives that came out of this. Now, the men's were coming off a pretty bad loss against UT Arlington that my colleagues Rashad Milligan and Joey Redmond went over. So I didn't know what to expect going into this game. It was either going to be really good or really bad. And I saw some positives. Jeremy Hollowell actually got his first career double-double. Congratulations, Mr. Hollowell. He had 22 points and 11 rebounds. He shot 10 of 17 from the field. And one thing that I noticed here in the game, he was attacking the basket early. He had a couple of and ones, and they were looking for him early. And Georgia State jumped out to an early lead in the first half. And another person that really stuck out was Kevin Ware. He pitched in with 15 points and 7 assists. So he was looking to share the ball more, and he had his share of points. 15 points is no joke, and it was very good to see both of them coming back strong in this game and, really pushing the pace. That's another thing I noticed. They were pushing the pace early in this game, trying to beat South Alabama's defense before they got set up to get to the basket. And there was a ton of and ones in this game that Jeremy Hollowell and Kevin Ware took advantage of. Isaiah Williams, who started this game, he hit some great clutch threes in overtime. So before I go there, let me tell you how it got down to the wire. So second half, the whole game, it was either South Alabama was up by 1, and then Georgia State would come back and hit a 2 or a 3, and they'll be up by 2 or 1, and it was going back and forth the whole game. So me and Joey Redmond, we're sitting and listening to the game, and we're just nail-biting, just back and forth, back and forth. Towards the end, Kevin Ware gets fouled, and all he had to do was hit 2 free throws, and we would have been up by 1. So he goes to the line, he misses the first one. So winning the game was out of the question at that point. Now, he hit the second one, so we're tied, and we went to overtime. Overtime was great. Now, let me go back to Isaiah Williams in that case. He hit 2 straight threes that put us up by 1 because, like I said earlier, they were going back and forth. So when Isaiah hit his first 3, South Alabama came back and hit a 2, so it was just a 1-point game at that point. And then Isaiah hit another 3, and then it went back and forth. So essentially, we were just up by 1 point. And then Jeff Thomas also had a clutch 3 as well in overtime. But when it came down to the wire, South Alabama found a way to score a basket that put them up by 1 point, and there was about 15 seconds to go. Georgia State inbounded the ball, and it was Isaiah Williams that took it straight to the basket. And now I have to applaud him for being aggressive and trying to take it to the basket and get a foul or either get the basket. But he was blocked, and it was blocked so, according to the radio host, it was blocked so hard it went like up the stands. So there was about 5 seconds left on the clock, and Georgia State inbound the ball, and I'm not sure. I forgot who exactly shot at the ball. I want to say Isaiah Williams shot the ball. It bricked, and it was either Jordan Sessions. It was Jordan Sessions that was said in the radio show, but it was Kevin Ware that was tweeted. So I'm rather confused, not being able to watch the game. Who grabbed the offensive rebound? Now I might go with Kevin Ware because the people who are tweeting the game are actually there. So we're going to go with Kevin Ware actually had the offensive rebound and the putback, in which many people are saying that he was fouled, but it was not called. And the game ended there 79-78 in the favor of South Alabama. Now, there's not a lot of things that I hate that I can say, negatively about this game. There was a lot of good things that the men did, and it's a very tough loss for the men to swallow. Now, I think they can take this game and bounce back in the next game because everything was working except for a couple minor things here and there, such as Marcus Crider fouling out before the overtime started and TJ Shipes fouling out in overtime. And both of them actually fouled out in the game prior to this one against UT Arlington. So they need to work on their foul management. Both of them happened to obtain fouls really early during the game, and that puts a burden on both of them and Coach Hunter to switch them out with Jordan Sessions and such. So they need to really pay attention to that so they can get some more minutes and play deep into this game, because TJ Shipes and Marcus Crider are two huge pieces to this team. They're the two big men of this team. They get huge rebounds, putbacks, and also both of them had a couple of and ones in this game. So I think if they were there in overtime, I'm pretty sure Georgia State was walking out with the win. But since both of them were out, Coach Hunter had to put in Jordan Sessions, who doesn't play that much, but I'm not doubting his skill set at all. But in closing minutes in overtime, I would rather have either TJ Shipes or Marcus Crider. So I really think the men's basketball team can bounce back from this loss, even though it was very heartbreaking to see this team lose. But I really think they can bounce back from this loss and go and get it in the next one. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give the game ball for this one. And this one was very difficult as well because it was even across the board for the guys. Jeremy had 22 and 11. Shipes had 12 and 7. But it might be obvious who I'm going to go for. It's going to be Jeremy Hollowell because he had his first career double-double, which is great news, and he played really well in this game. Like I said earlier, he was attacking very early in the game, attacking the basket, getting and ones, and he was setting the tone for the game. And just by seeing, or hearing rather, that he was attacking the basket early, I kind of knew what kind of tone he wanted to set in this game, and you can kind of tell that he wanted to take over. And that's one thing that I really liked, and he was showing his leadership, which was really great. So this game ball today's game ball rather is going to go to Mr. Jeremy Hollowell, especially because of his double-double. So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully next time when we do this Primetime Sports Talk, you will see two members rather than one. But thank you for joining me, and we will see you next time.